right, all set.
Alright folks, you know exactly what it is, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So first of all, was that a TF2 reference? No. Video games are for children. So last time we took a look at how the birdshot spread on paper, but now that we've got a slow-mo cam, let's go ahead and use that instead. Whew. So thanks to the Cronus 1.4, we can now slow things down and see what's going on more in depth. Now the footage that you're seeing here is about 2100 frames per second, which is actually the highest resolution the camera shoots in, as well as the lowest frame rate, which means that this footage is not particularly slow at all. We'll slow it down more coming up here. So as you can see, it's still pretty much all over the place. My aim wasn't really centered, but, well, you still get the idea. Got to wear some gloves on that one. That was a mistake. That's a little better. On the subject of recoil, how bad is it? Well, let's compare it to these 12-inch barrels here. Honestly, it's about the same. This one might have a little bit more kick to it, honestly. The 3-incher, it's all just kind of going out into the ether. So hands down, the biggest request that I get is shoot some mini shells. Shoot some mini shells. So, got some 1-ounce slugs, and I've got some double-out buck. Gonna launch it into some clear ballistics gel here, see what happens. Thick. Okay, first up we've got some double-out buckshot. Mini shell, try it out, see how it does. Okay, here we go. Now we're down to about 11,800 frames per second, quite slow, just in time for a miss. Almost all the slow-mo today is going to be at that rate. So to note, the buckshot here actually embedded itself about 2 to 3 inches deep in these 2x4s. Oops, that one was a little low. These have 8 pellets in them, and I'm actually seeing all 8 in about that big of an area, so not too bad actually. And as an added benefit, actually come out pretty nicely. All right, let's try this once more, aiming a little bit higher. Better aim this time, but still not quite. The one pellet of double-out buck just barely almost makes it out, but gets sucked back in right at the last moment. Story of my life. I'm still aiming a little low. It's a little awkward getting it on target at such a wonky angle, but did manage to get one in there, and surprisingly, it looked like it made it almost all the way through that block. So let's give it one more go around, see if I can get it actually on target. Okay, tell you what, this time I'll actually use the sights. Uh-oh. Yep, looks like a light primer strike there. These Stogers, they're kind of notorious for having soft firing pins. They make aftermarket ones in stainless steel, hardened and whatnot. I just haven't bothered throwing one in. So, all right, let's go ahead and try it again. Still no good way of holding this thing, I swear. All right, here we go. Much better. Here we are finally on target, with a surprising amount of force imparted when all pellets hit. More than half of them actually make it all the way through the block. All right, let's go take a look at how that did. So here's the view from the back. As you can see, most of them still, it's absolutely plastered with unburnt gunpowder, which is just hilarious. But nevertheless, you can still see all the little holes on there, mostly all on target. I didn't count those, it's a little hard to see them. But here we are from the side. As you can see, this is, what is this, a 17-inch block, I believe. Most of them all made it almost all the way through. I think a few of them poked out the end in places. Maybe one or two of them. I'm not sure, I didn't catch that. But most of them actually pretty deep in there. So I'm kind of impressed. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And looks like, yeah, this one might have made it out. Yeah, this one here made it out the side, looks like. But still, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. All right, now we've got the fun part. Got mini shells, 1 ounce slugs. Let's see how it does. Kicks a bit. All right, so unfortunately on that one, the trigger didn't really work for the camera, so the slow-mo was gone. But it looks like I completely missed everything here anyway, so let's give it one more go. Okay, one more time, mini slug. Aim right about center. And these sights are sighted in at about 100 yards, so it's a little optimistic. All right, here we go. Yeah, that got it. Slugs are just so much fun. We get massive, massive deformation at the corner here, which makes the block act like it's in dead or alive. Fantastic. I'm pretty sure that's some double-out buckshot rolling around inside my table. That's hilarious. So that one was really interesting. We hit all the way up here in the corner. Nice entrance wound there. Good, decently sized channel. But it deflected. It went way off out there and came out this little bugger right here. So interesting. It was deflected almost. So let's keep going, see if we can't get it right dead center with the next one or two of them. If you couldn't tell, aiming is a little difficult with this. But let's see how we do here. Maybe I would have better luck with the left barrel. Let's try that one instead. The only difference is this has 2 triggers. The one up front is for the right barrel, the one in the back is for the left barrel. Might have a better time hanging on to it with the rearward grip. Let's see if that makes any difference here. It seems a little better. That should be about it. All right, here we go. So what happened to that one, you might be asking? Where did it go? Right there. Oops. Okay, let's try right about there. See how this does. I got it. Here we get some sizable temporary cavitation. Always a beautiful thing to watch in action. I'm starting to learn where to aim just a little bit. So here we have our block, and as you can see, made it about 2/3 of the way through. Decent entry wound here, almost dead center, and you can clearly see the force imparted on this block was enough to knock it off the table. I mean, I don't really have it on the most stable of platforms right now, but nevertheless, not too bad. Have to dig that thing out of there at some point. Uh-oh, what's this? You guys know what it is. This is a 2 3/4 inch 1 ounce slug with a suggested muzzle velocity of 1600 feet per second. I doubt we're gonna get that. I didn't bring the chronograph out because, as we saw last time, it's not necessarily the most accurate thing in the world, but that's why we got the slow-mo cam. Should give you a decent idea of what's going on. There you go. Believe it or not, since this thing doesn't have a functional ejector, the mini shells are actually harder to get out. They fire form very, very nicely, but they don't stick out far enough to actually be able to push them out. So, interesting. So I haven't actually shot these yet. Don't know how it's gonna go. I don't imagine it's gonna be very pleasant at all. Oh well. Hang on for dear life here. Get out of here, fly. All right. The 2 3/4 inch slug absolutely tunnels, just bores straight on through. The slug itself actually lands just a couple feet outside of the block after dumping every bit of its energy. So that was the 2 3/4 slugs, but what if we step that up just a little bit? Got some 3 inchers, let's do that. So here's what we were just shooting. This is the 2 3/4 inch slugs. And here's what we're gonna be shooting. This is a 3 incher slug, 1 ounce, with a suggested muzzle velocity of 1760. Let's see how it looks at the end of the barrel. And there we go, sticking out just a hair. Let's see how it does. Right about there. All right, let's do it. Dead center, all right. 1/4 inch may not seem like much, but when you stack them side by side like this, that length can make a world of difference. So honestly, once again, the recoil seemed a lot less than the mini shells, and you all probably know why. They're a little bit too long to build up anything substantial. That 3 inch slug just comes right out. Perfect, absolutely perfect. I like the 3 inchers. All right, so as you guys could see from the slow-mo there, the 3 inch slug actually did almost identical in performance to the mini slug, which is still embedded in there. It bounced back a little bit, but the permanent wound cavity is still just a hair ahead, and then it rebounded back. So yeah, the 2 3/4 inch is obviously the star of the show here, but the 3 incher, not too bad either. Not too bad. Okay, so I've got 2 of the mini shells with double-aught buckshot left. We just dump them at this paper target. It's kind of sort of home defense range. This is about 10 feet or so. That's a little on the short side, but not unrealistic. So let's go ahead and dump these in there and see what kind of a pattern we get. Some quick napkin calculations clock these at a velocity of about 500 feet per second. The spread in flight is about the same as what you see with any other shotgun. You can really see just how much it splits apart behind the target. So we're still seeing the same trend. I'm shooting a bit low. I don't know if that's just me or just the way that I naturally want to hold the gun, but nevertheless, about 10 feet looks like the spread is about, with the mini shells anyway, about 6 inches or so, give or take, for each one of those. Let's take a closer look. So for all those of you who said to use some mini shells, you were right on the money. Seem to be fairly effective while still retaining a relatively tight pattern, tight enough anyway, and it turned out pretty well. All right, but now let's see if we can't reach out and touch something. I've got a steel target set up, oh, what is that, about maybe 15 meters down, and I've got this loaded up with the 2 3/4 inch slugs. Let's see what we can do. Seemed like a decent hit. What was that, high left shoulder? Okay, I'll try aiming down and right a little bit. These slugs mid-flight are super interesting. They fly relatively straight, but as you might expect, they tumble tremendously, hampering accuracy. Still, they're about minute of man at this range. Okay, shot number 2. Let's see if I can get it more centered here. And about there. Nope, missed. Once again, tumbling wildly. But as you can see, it looks like we missed the steel by not even a centimeter. Straight on by. Every now and then it gets a little stuck in there. There we go. Okay, so can we shoot both barrels at the same time with the 3.5 inch goose loads? Don't try this at home. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, hold on, let me get a better hold of it. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ow! Mother flipper! Oh boy. Well, that was fun. Made a hell of a noise, didn't it? Oh geez, I'm not doing that again, but that was fun. Take a look at that. Oh. So here's another question I get a lot. Is it quicker to reload it or just drop a new barrel in? Well, let's find out. Let's first try just reloading it here normally. All right. There we go. So that wasn't too bad. Fumbled it a little bit, but it's all right. All right, so now let's go ahead and try it with just swapping it out with the barrel. All right, here we go. Okay, so it is faster, and you can very clearly tell which one is a bit more effective, eh? But yeah, a little surprising. Yeah, just dropping a new barrel in there, a lot better, a lot faster anyway. I think I found a new way to concealed carry. Ha-ha! All right, folks, so I've been out here for a couple of hours already. And all my cameras are pretty much dead at this point, so I'm gonna have to pick this all back up tomorrow and finish things out. But here's a little sneak peek at what's coming up. We got a couple of different things to try. We've got some flash thunder grenades, which are probably gonna do absolutely nothing. We've got some macho gaucho or bolo rounds, big balls that are tied together. Let's see how that does. We've got some flechets, which should be very interesting out of such a short barrel. And we've got some confetti rounds, so that should be interesting as well. But I know what a lot of you are coming here for. That's these little guys right here. What's that say? You know what it says, Dragon's Breath. So we'll do all that tomorrow once I've got all my equipment back up and running. So see you in a bit. All right, welcome back. So first up, we have these flash thunder grenades. These make a lot of flash, a lot of noise, but probably not too much else. I've never shot them before, so let's see what happens. So just to get a baseline here, this first shot is going to be just your standard 2 3/4 inch bird shot. That should give you a decent idea of the noise and the flash that's going on with just a normal shell. All right, so that's that one. Now let's try the thunder grenade. As you can see from my expression here, I was expecting a lot worse than what we got. Interestingly, these throw off a lot of chaff. Not sure what they're packed with, but it's pretty neat. Was that it? Was that it? Was that all? Like a little party popper. Worthless. Well, that was incredibly disappointing, but you know what, since we've already got the protective case set up, why don't we see what happens with the 3.5 inch shells. Hopefully I don't break my camera. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm scared. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh. So watch the sides on this one. They just explode outwards from the pressure. I love the way the wads open up on these. Just immediately rips into a huge X. All right, I know what a lot of you are thinking. It would be such a shame if we didn't do the same exact thing with some slugs. These are 3 inchers. See what happens. 3, 2, 1. So what these really remind me of is the cylinder gap on a revolver. You've got tremendous pressure, which is blocked off by the slug itself until it clears the barrel, and then it's immediately bursting straight out of the tiny gap in the sides. It even creates a similar flash in that big circular pattern. You'll be able to see the slugs spinning and tumbling not even a foot out of the gate. Let's take a look. Also note the plastic from the hole shearing off in all directions, almost perpendicular. So for the astute viewers among you, you may have noticed that I forgot to bring my gloves out today. That's what happens when you do. Oops. It's okay, skin grows back. Okay, so we were using the ballistics gel last time. Let's change it up to a bit more reactive target here. So first up, we got the macho gacho or bolo rounds here. See how it does? I will do my absolute best to hit the target, but honestly, I can't make any guarantees. Let's take a look at the slow-mo and see what happened. I have a sneaking suspicion that those balls just stayed right together. Never mind, apparently the remote didn't work, so I got one left. See what happens this time. In probably the only instance of it you will ever see, the bolo rounds actually spread to full extension rather quickly. Unfortunately, that cable snaps them back together at the last moment, so we don't get that ball and chain destruction advertised. So next up, we've got the flechettes. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, those are basically little tiny steel darts that are supposed to fly straight and penetrate and puncture through armor or vegetation or whatnot. But what ends up happening more often than not is they just tumble end over end. So let's see what happens when they have no barrel to work with. 3, 2, 1. Oh yes, they spread everywhere. End over end, a few of them actually hit straight on, and I had to pry them out of the table. Alright, you can kind of see where a few of them smacked into it, but mostly unscathed, so I'll tell you what, let's get a little danger close here. Alright, last round to flesh it. So is that a beautiful muzzle flash or what? You can see a few of the flechets exiting the other side, just glistening in the sunlight. Terrific. And finally, we've got the confetti rounds. I mean, look at this. It flat out looks like a toy, because guess what? It is a toy. But let's see what it does. All right, here we go. Try and do 2 barrels at once, straight at the camera. This is so ridiculous. All right. Interestingly, when you play this back in real time, it looks like both barrels are firing at the same exact time, but slowed down here, you can see there's a slight delay. So guys, we've got these 2 melons left, but we're all out of the exotic ammo. What do we do now? Shotgun bayonet! The safeties on these things are really touchy. Here we go. Whoa! Bit more force on that one. So here we are, covered in the blood and guts of our enemies. Yeah, it's not a bad scope. There's only one thing left to do, and you all can probably guess what that is. That is Dragon's Breath. But you probably noticed there's a little bit too much greenery going on out here, so I'm actually going to swing by my buddies and set some fires there instead of here. I'm going to have so many watermelons growing here next year. So this is going to be the first time I've ever touched one of these things off. I have absolutely no idea what to expect. I've heard they perform poorly. I've heard they perform great. There's only one way to find out. So let's give it a shot. Three, two. That was interesting. Now let's see what happens if we do 2 at once, straight across the lake here. 3, 2, 1. Well, for some reason, only one of those went off that time, so let's try it one more time, see if we can't get both barrels to pop off here. And so I tell you what, if you want to stop a bad guy coming into your home, it's a hell of a way to do it. You may not have much left of your house, but I guarantee you, they're not going to want to keep going after that. Now I know what you're thinking. It's just a regular guy carrying around a watermelon, right? Wrong! Ooh, I can't see a thing. Well, so for those of you still watching, thank you so much for sticking around. I know this was a long video with a lot to burn through. If you want to see more firearms related content, stick around. I know I don't upload quite as often as I probably should, but I do what I can. Now if you want more content and you don't actually want to wait around forever for my new videos, go ahead and check out the Commando blog. They've got a lot of great writers and great articles with more always on the way, and are just some really good dudes. And I'm not even being paid to say that. So just one more time, if you've made it this far, you are just the coolest person in the world. Thank you so much. So I've got just a huge amount of stuff in the works, from funny to interesting to informative to just flat out stupid. I'll be getting that out to you just as soon as I'm able. While we're on the subject of incredibly short shotguns, check out this street sweeper. There's absolutely no barrel whatsoever. It's all chambers. Imagine 12 rounds of this. Just kidding, doesn't actually work yet.